beautiful love can be on the streets. Love is hard to see. It's a place I got to be. Loving you is loving me. How long has this camera been on? And how long have y'all been watching me? Wow, so y'all just gonna sneak up on me in the middle of my singing? Well, since y'all here, we might as well go ahead and do a show. So welcome to another episode of Monotonymous. I'm your host, Angelo Tahadari. How y'all feeling out there today, family? It's another beautiful day. Even though y'all snuck up on me in the middle of my singing, but it's all good because you got a preview of the beautiful vocals. It's so apropos that y'all here today because I wanted to talk to you anyway. How many of y'all speak the language of love fluently? What is love? Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, right? There's one rule to speaking the language of love fluently. One rule that I go by, and that's to stop seeing with the material eyes to materialize your reality. Stop seeing with the material eyes to materialize your reality. Seeing with these two eyes, these material eyes, is to be myopic. First and foremost, we should be seeing and discerning with the third eye. This is the eye of the spirit, the eye of the mind. This is the real eye that we use to discern, okay? And collectively, it's the real eyes to realize God, love, and spirituality. So again, we should be using the third eye, which is the real eye, and collectively the real eyes we use to realize God, love, and spirituality. Okay? Speaking the language of love starts with God and begins with self. Okay? Speaking the language of love starts with God and begins with self. So to love self is to acknowledge God. So if we're too busy being upset, angry, vengeful, unable to forgive ourselves for past transgressions, how can we begin to love when the spirit is in turmoil? Okay. The temple family was not constructed for us to admire it from the outside, not for us to appreciate the artwork and the architecture from the exterior. The temple was built with the intent for us to go inside for enlightenment. I got news for y'all, family. You are the temple. The temple is you. Stop looking in the mirror for spirituality. You won't find it. Stop looking in the mirror for liberation. Stop looking in the mirror for salvation. Stop falling for the illusion. The only way to free self from the confines of the body is to go within to unlock the true nature of love. It starts with God and begins with self. Part of speaking the language of love fluently is to change the language we use to describe what love is. My son asked me one time, "Yo, Dad, why do we say fall in love?" I'm like, "Son, that's a really good question. That's a really, really good question." First and foremost, we shouldn't be falling in love, right? Because to fall is to lose control. And what happens when we lose control? When we fall, at some point, you're going to fall into something. And if you're fortunate enough to walk away from that situation, you're going to walk away with some significant injuries. What's an example of losing control? Well, let's say two people are in lust with one another, right? They have insatiable appetites for each other. And because they can't keep their hands off each other, they mistake it as love. They think they're in love with each other, okay? But what happens when this tapers off, this sex drive tapers off? What do you have in common now? What happens if one person has a precipitous decline in their sex drive, but the other person still has their insatiable appetite for sex? They can't control their appetite. They're probably going to cheat on that person. This is losing control. What's another way we lose control? Losing our temper. I watch a lot of ID Discovery, which is the crime channel on television. And most of the shows that I watch, and about 85% of the murders that's committed, and I'm just speculating or guesstimating, but about 85% of the murders committed are emotionally driven. Someone lost control. And someone took someone's life. Okay? So what happens when we fall? Normally we're reaching out, we're trying to grab onto things to break our fall so that we don't fall and get hurt, right? So instead of falling in love, we should rise in love. Okay? Because to rise is to be elevated, uplifted, and supported. Okay? So let's say we come across a homeless person who is down on their luck and we have spare change. We'll reach into our pocket and offer them that spare change in an effort to uplift them or elevate them in that moment. Okay? This is speaking the language of love fluently. We don't accost this itinerant and berate, belittle, castigate, and excoriate them for their less than fortunate situation. At least I don't, right? Okay? We elevate them by being kind. So when you love, you're operating within a higher vibrational frequency of energy. Okay? We also got to stop saying that we're lovesick. Okay? First and foremost, there is no such thing as being lovesick. Love doesn't make us sick. It's the absence of love that causes us to be sick. It's when love is missing. It's when someone takes their love away that causes us to be sick. Okay? So instead of saying love sickness, we should be saying absentee sickness. Also, we got to stop allowing people to steal and take a piece of our hearts. First and foremost, if we love ourselves, we're protected from the thieves and predators who prey on vulnerable people for their hearts. What happens when your heart is stolen? It leaves an emptiness there. There's a void. So when the next person comes along that's worthy of your love, you're unable to love them properly, if at all, because your heart's missing. So stop allowing people to steal your heart. Okay? We got to stop loving people to death. First and foremost, if you love somebody or someone, you should love them to life. You should want to see that person live, regardless of if it's with you or with someone else. This is speaking the language of love fluently, family. Okay? The language of love is loving someone so much that all you truly care about is for them to be happy. All you truly care about is that person's happiness. Love shouldn't only benefit you, it should benefit everyone involved. The person that you say that you love, that you have a feeling for, it should be beneficial to them that you love them. If your love for someone becomes a detriment to them, then we know it's not love. If your love for someone causes them to be sick, then we know it's not love. If the person you love feels dead inside, then we know it's not love. If the person that you love can't stand being around you, then we know it's not love. So back to loving self. When you love yourself so much, you won't be disrespected. You won't be a doormat. You won't be someone's punching bag. But you'll demand love in the same manner you love yourself from the other person. So if the person that you love doesn't love you, you'll love yourself and them enough to allow them to be happy for the sake of your own happiness. Stop forcing relationships with people who don't love you. You have people in relationships right now being held hostage, using money and finances to keep people in relationships, using children to keep people in relationships, using threats of violence and abuse to keep people in relationships. These are all things being weaponized to hold people hostage in relationships. This is psychological warfare, family. And I got news for you. If the person is telling you you're too fat, you're too ugly, you're too skinny, you're too dumb, you're too stupid to be loved by anyone else, here's the question. Why do they go to so much trouble to convince you to stay with them? You're valuable to someone. You're valuable to someone. It's time you realize that for yourself. Realize that, discern it with the third eye, the real eye that we use to discover or to realize and discern God, love, and spirituality. It starts with God and begins with self, family. Okay? We have to love ourselves. And some of us are in these abusive relationships with children involved, right? Think about that for a moment. Children are involved in these abusive relationships. These children are absorbing that negative energy. They are wiring their brains to adapt and assimilate that negative energy. Okay? And so if we love ourselves, we can love them up out of that environment. Okay? This is how you stop the cycle and stop it from being perpetual to where these kids go right back into the same situation once they're adults. Okay? We have to protect our children at all costs. This is speaking the language of love fluently. Some of us are looking for the Rosetta Stone of the love language. It doesn't exist. Some of us are looking for the love language book for dummies. It doesn't exist. It starts with God and begins with you, so go within. Go within to discover and to be able to decipher what speaking the language of love is. Okay? As simple as that. So family, some of us, we're in these relationships with certain people that when we think about them, we become angry. When we think about them, we become sick, we become sad, or we become worried. These relationships are not good to be in, you know what I'm saying? Because you're absorbing this negative energy, okay? And here's the thing, when you're insecure, or the or when you're conceited, okay? When you're conceited, you're infatuated with the illusion, okay? When you're egocentric, you're infatuated with the illusion. When you're self-centered, you're infatuated with the illusion, okay? These people are insecure, but they're masquerading, okay? They want you to believe in the illusion. And once you figure them out, and once you notice their insecurities, if you point that out, you've just damaged the relationship. You've just ended the relationship. That person can't be around you because you know the truth about them. And they've been lying to themselves for so long, it's hard for them to deal with the reality and the truth of themselves. And so if I can't live with myself, I'll live a lie in order to be able to live with myself. You get what I'm saying? So some people are just too insecure for your love. Okay, now understand what I mean. And I'm not saying that you can't love them, but they're too insecure to benefit from your love. Again, you can love these people, but don't allow them to be vampires to your energy. Stop allowing relationships that drain you of your strength. Stop allowing relationships that drain you of your power. Stop allowing relationships that drain you of your health and well-being. Okay? If the person that you're in a relationship with is not conducive to your well-being, then that relationship has to end. And I mean, it has to end as soon as today. It's time to love self, family. First and foremost, the world needs healing. Imagine if everyone loved themselves, what this world would be like. Okay? We got all this chaos and craziness going on in the world today where the world is broken. And if we just love ourselves, then we can begin to start the healing process. Love conquers all. Love is God, okay? So go within. And I know for me to tell you to love yourself is cliche, okay? But some of us don't understand what that means, okay? You'll be treated how you treat yourself. So if there's lack of love and disrespect for self, expect to be treated that way, with lack of love and disrespect. If we love ourselves and we keep telling ourselves we love ourselves, it will become so thick in the subconscious mind that it will be just like breathing. Okay? And the people that we have relationships with, we will demand respect and love from. Okay? Some of us are giving too much of our energy and not getting back the energy that we put into the relationship. It has to be equal though, right? If it's not equal, you're giving too much of your energy or you're taking too much energy from someone, then that relationship can't work and won't work, okay? For the sake of that person's health and your health, okay? So stop being in relationships with people you can't stand. Stop being in a relationship with people who abuse you, okay, belittle you. And when you love yourself, you're conscientious of the food that you put into your body, okay? You're not putting in the toxins and the poisons into your body, okay? You're conscientious of not abusing alcohol and drugs. This is loving yourself. If somebody gave you a bat right now, most people wouldn't take that bat and beat themselves with it. But we beat ourselves in other ways. We allow people to have the bat and we say, yo, just go ahead and beat me with it. We don't respect self. We don't love self. And that's the problem, okay? And so, you know, the people who are insecure, they're envious, they're jealous, they're full of hatred. These are all conditions of mental health. And if you're around that, you have to question your own mental health. These relationships cannot continue, family. Point blank, period. Start loving yourself and the world will heal. Peace and love. Oh, and if you're liking this, you're liking the content I'm putting out there, family, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that notification button and let's get it going. I appreciate y'all so much for taking the time out of your day to be with me here on another episode of Mind Autonomous. Peace, family.
How beautiful love can be on the streets. Love is hard to see.